everyone, I'm Atlas Logan from the Hamilton Mill Branch Library, and welcome to the very first virtual episode of NASA at My Library. For today's episode of NASA at My Library, we will be exploring one of my favorite subjects. Based on the clue being shown, can you guess what that might be? That's right, constellations. A constellation is a group of stars that appears to form a pattern or picture like Orion the Great Hunter, Leo the Lion, or Taurus the Bull. Constellations are easily recognizable patterns that help people orient themselves using the night sky. If you look closely here, you can spot the constellation Orion. Did you know that the stars in a constellation are not necessarily near one another? Each constellation is a collection of stars that are distributed in space in 3 dimensions. The stars are all different distances from Earth. The stars in a constellation appear to be in the same plane because we are viewing them from very, very far away. Stars vary greatly in size, distance from Earth, and temperature. Dimmer stars may be smaller, further away, or cooler than brighter stars. By the same token, the brightest stars are not necessarily the closest. Of the stars in Cygnus, the Swan, the faintest star is the closest, and the brightest star is the farthest. The stars in our night sky have been arranged by poets, farmers, and astronomers over thousands of years into dot-to-dot style pictures called constellations. These constellations and their stories have been passed down, although ultimately constellations are arbitrary. New constellations have been created in modern times. As we'll explore in a bit, you could even create your own constellations. So, you may be wondering, how many constellations are there? There are 88 total constellations recognized by the International Astronomical Union. Because of the Earth's rotation around the Sun, not all constellations can be seen at all times of the year. Circumpolar constellations are the exception because they sit above the North and South poles. Polar constellations of the Northern Hemisphere include Cassiopeia, Cepheus, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, Draco, and Camelopardalis. Polar constellations of the Southern Hemisphere include the Southern Cross, Centaurus, and Carina. Most of the constellation names we know came from the ancient Middle Eastern, Greek, and Roman cultures. They identified clusters of stars as gods, goddesses, animals, and the objects of their stories. It is important to understand that these were not the only cultures populating the night sky with characters important to their lives. Cultures all over the world and throughout time, Native American, Asian, and African, have made pictures with those same stars. In some cases, the constellations may have had ceremonial or religious significance. In other cases, the star groupings help to mark the passage of time between planting and harvesting, or help ships to navigate out at sea. Of the 88 total constellations, there are about 48 ancient ones, and they are the brightest groupings of stars, those observed easily by the unaided eye. Let's explore a few of them. Orion, the Hunter, is one of the most famous constellations and is named after a hero in Greek mythology. It's also my personal favorite. Another famous and ancient constellation is the Great Dog, or Canis Major, which includes Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. Here you can see the Southern Cross constellation, one of the circumpolar constellations of the Southern Hemisphere. Now, let's explore some modern constellations. But wait, bet you thought I forgot about the Big Dipper, huh? The Big Dipper is often one of the very first star patterns that most people think of when exploring constellations. Did you know that the Big Dipper is not a constellation? It is part of Ursa Major, the Greater Bear. The Big Dipper is an asterism, a recognized but not official grouping of stars. Some asterisms fall within a single constellation, others cross multiple constellations. Okay, let's talk about modern constellations, for real this time. Modern constellations, like the Peacock, Telescope, and Giraffe, were identified by later astronomers of the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s who used telescopes and who were able to observe the night sky in the southern hemisphere. These scientists connected the dimmer stars between the ancient constellations. There are 38 modern constellations. All right, now it's your turn to have some fun with constellations. We'll explore 2 activities designed to help you explore this topic further. For our first hands-on activity, we'll be doing marshmallow constellations. You'll need dry spaghetti and a handful of mini marshmallows. You may also wish to have a picture of an existing constellation to work from. For our second activity, we will play a pin the tail on the donkey style game called Pin the Stars in the Sky. With the resulting star pattern, create your own new constellation. Thank you for joining us for our very first virtual NASA at My Library. See you next time.